Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 110. And I got some exciting news. I'm actually gonna be interviewing a couple people in the next couple weeks. I haven't really thought of what the conversations are gonna be, but I got a couple questions. Well, not a couple questions, me, about a handful of questions that I'm gonna, you know, write down and email it to the guys and see what it is. And so I'm excited, man. It's gonna be interesting to get other people on this podcast where versus just me. Now I'm not saying I'm gonna be like Gilly and Wallow, but every small step counts, man. I remember watching podcasts with Gilly and Wallow, and they were talking to themselves. You know what I mean? They're having a conversation with themselves, and I think that's how all great podcasts start, man. You think of the pivot, you think of all the smoke, you think of Club Shay Shay, Gillian Wallow, $100 million worth of game, $1 million worth of game, stuff like that, man. It's like we all start off in ways that are different. But first things first, I'm going for the Eagles today. I don't know who y'all got, but I got the Eagles, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. Um, I think their defense is just way too good. Their defensive line is way too good. Their defense is seven. Their linebackers, their cornerbacks, safeties. That whole team is good, and that offense too. I honestly just want to see Jalen Hurts win it because I remember when everybody was talking about him, he can't play quarterback. He got benched at, Alabama, this and this and that. I'm like, the Browns in the Super Bowl, like you don't get there just by, being basic or being average. You get there by just doing the work, and he did the work. I don't know if y'all seen that video a couple of days ago. It was making the rounds. And it basically highlighted all the negative stuff that people said about Jalen Hurts. And I remember telling somebody when Hurts was in college, when he was at Alabama, I'm like, yo, why do you think every quarterback in Alabama system has never done well in the pros? Every single one of them, except maybe Joe Namath, But anybody in recent memory, like A.J. McCarron, couple other dudes I can't really think of, but pretty much all these guys were all these highly touted college quarterbacks, and they got to the pros and they couldn't play. And I remember telling somebody, I was like, yo, it's because of the system. You look at the system, you have top wide receivers, you have top tight ends, you have an offensive line that's really, really good. You have bruising running backs that are really, really good. You have a defense who probably has a couple Hall of Famers on that squad, and it's really easy to mask your not insecurities, but your deficiencies, because if you have top 4 or 5 star guys at each position, you can kind of get away with, I don't want to say mediocre quarterback play, but quarterbacks who aren't that good. It's like back in the day when Cole Brennan was playing for my alma mater, at University of Hawaii. Like, he was great because all he did was throw the ball. They would throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. So he had all these passing yards, all these touchdowns. And I'm like, yeah, but like, can he translate that into the NFL? And a lot of times you can't, because in college there's maybe 3 to 5 guys on that field who are the best at what they do. Everybody else is okay. But in the pros, bro, everybody there can play, you know. And everybody wants to bring up, oh yeah, boy, Philly this, Miami this. It's like, no. At the end of the day, Tua was drafted higher because they believe he can play, and like they were just dogging Jaden. And like, look, if you literally take their stats year by year, Hurts has gotten better every year. You know, excuse me. And it's not like, Tua doesn't have weapons. He has Waddle. He's got a couple good wide receivers. I think he's got a decent tight end. Decent running back. And so it's like, so in reality, it's like, is it really the system, or is it them that makes them them? And when I say them, I mean, the household name. Because I remember everybody's like, yeah, well, when 201 won the championship game, like, bro, the reason they did that is because, number one, they wasn't game planning for Tua to play. They was game planning for Hurts to play. That's why they shut down Hurts. So when you brought in Tua, like, they literally had no tape on the kid. And as the years progressed, everybody starting to figure them out, because it's really not that hard, bro. And the better competition you face, the more film on you, the easier it is, it's gonna be to stop you, Different topic, yo. It's the same thing with my beloved, Baltimore Ravens. As good as Lamar is, he was great that first year because nobody had any film on him, and I kept telling people, he's killing folks because they don't have any film on him, and you can't replicate that, in in a practice, let alone if you haven't seen it, and it doesn't help that our offense coordinator was trash. He should have never been there, and I was one dude. I'm like, I don't know how you kept your job, bro, because not last year, but the year before Lamar got injured, we was 8-3. We finished the season, I think, 8-9 or something like that too. And it's like, so you mean to tell me that one guy, was in charge of you, was that vital to your system, and you didn't want to build around your system? As an offensive coordinator, you want to play to your guys' strengths. That's what they do. That's what the great offensive coordinators do. Like, you look at the guys in Philly. I can't think of his name. Or you look at the bruh in Kansas City. It's like they're good at their job because, like, they outfit their quarterback with the weapons that make them better. So there's a lot of shit that happened in between that, that a lot of people don't realize, man. It's like, you got to know your personnel. That goes down to basically, I'm not saying you got to be buddy with people, because you don't, but you do have to work with them. You do got to respect them, and like, that translates to W's on the field. You know what I mean? So at the same time, man, it's like having the correct personnel in the system is vital. But anyway, man, so these couple guys that are coming on, they're actually really good friends of mine. They're actually extremely good at what they do in their particular field. I'm not going to give away too much information on them, because I want them to talk about, what got them involved into what they wanted to do, and and everything too. And it's gonna delve into some bodybuilding, some music, because that's how we all knew each other. It was, and well, not bodybuilding per se, but I was always in the gym, and so I would always, I would see these particular individuals, or I would work out with them. You know what I mean? So, and it was funny because back in college, one of the dudes who's me on the podcast back in college, we used to hoop like every day. Because I was finishing up my bachelor's degree, and I believe he was finishing up his master's. And so we would see each other every day. And as black men, living in Hawaii, you don't really see that many black people here, right? Very few indeed. And so one of the things that we got to talking about was sports, man, because it's like he was, I know he's an Eagles fan. I don't know, does he follow Philly, the basketball? He might follow, he probably follows the 76ers as well. And so, and so it was funny because it's like we would all, and we was around the same age, and so we'd always talk about who's better. A one-on-one player. Back in the day, I had Kobe hands down no matter what. His guy was AI. And so it really didn't. And it was the conversations we would have, and just it would be sports, politics, and sometimes we touch on religion and whatnot too, but it was not in a way to disrespectful, because it was more of a way to understand. I'm like, okay, like tell me why you think this way or why you think that way. And for me, it's like when I get into conversations like that, it's like I'm not trying to challenge you or anything. I'm trying to understand why you think the way you do. And I think a lot of people, when they meet me and when I ask them questions like that, simply if somebody says, "Oh well, let's just use this for an example. Um, a controversial topic, same-sex marriage, and I'm not saying that we had this conversation, or I've had this conversation with somebody, because I haven't, but I'll simply ask like, oh, well, like, why do you think that? After they say what they say about the topic, and I just simply ask that question to see if that person can articulate a thought, or can articulate a logical point to their view, because if it makes sense, and we're like, okay, yeah, um, I would, I'll listen to it. It's like all the smoke had on, they had, Abdul, Abdul Rauf, the basketball player who was unjustly robbed of his NBA career because of his religious beliefs. And he brought up something. He brought up Trump, and he goes, in no way, shape, or form do I support dude at all. But he's like, you mean to tell me the dude can't teach you nothing about business? I mean, it makes sense when you really think about it. You know what? You don't get to be that well versed in that particular arena or that particular field without being in that field. I mean, and I'm not saying that I agree with Trump no matter what, because I don't, but just because you're a bad person doesn't mean, or just because people view you as a bad person doesn't mean people can't learn from you, bro. History is filled with that. History is filled with people doing bad things that other people can learn from. And I'm not saying that these people are bad people because of what they did. So when I bring up the conversation with Trump, people look at me weird. I'm like, nah, think about it. It's like, you mean to tell me a guy who's got his names on buildings across the world, that probably doesn't know what he's talking about? Come on, bro. That's like taking an opportunity to learn how to play the game of basketball from Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, all these great Hall of Fame players. And you're not going to take the opportunity because your homeboy is going to teach you to do the same thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So, like, why would you want to take advice or take lessons from somebody who hasn't done it at the highest level? And like that's why, like, when certain things happen, man, I'm like, okay, I get it, but it doesn't make any sense to me, because it's like if it doesn't make any sense to me, I'm gonna be like, I don't know about that, So I think at the end of the day, it's imperative to realize that you can learn from everybody. It doesn't mean that that you blindly take that leap of faith, but but also too, at the same time, you don't let your emotions get involved in it too. Contrary to popular belief, this is a different topic, but Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These brothers were fighting for the same thing, but just at different ends of the spectrums. And if I could go back in time and talk to him, be like, oh, you know, and actually have a conversation with him, be like, hey, man, like, what made you want to do it this way and you do it that way? You know, like, what made you choose a nonviolent route versus what made you choose by any means necessary, right? Because they were fighting for the same thing. And I think when you look at situations like that, it's you know, it's interesting because it's the same topic, you know. And these two individuals that I'm gonna have on the next few weeks or so, um, I am gonna ask them a bunch of, you know, I'm gonna ask them some, you know, some questions. I'm gonna ask them to be honest, and it should be interesting to see, man. It should be interesting because this is the first time that I'm gonna have people on the podcast, and it's gonna be edited too, so it's gonna be the whole nine. So that's gonna be kind of cool. So instead of me just sitting there talking, you know, but yeah, man. Never be afraid to learn from other people's mistakes. I know a lot of people who are afraid to do that. Uh, or they repeat the same cycles over and over again. It could be something as simple as you being the first to go to college, or you being the first to move out of state, or do whatever you got to do. Right? A lot of people will talk you out of doing that because they haven't done it. You know, and or you could be studying for a certification in a field that you enjoy. You know, and a lot of people be like, "Oh, well, I can't see you doing it." Okay, that's cool. That's your opinion. It doesn't matter to me. Um, so I'm not saying be quiet about your goals, but be mindful who you talk to about it. You know, be mindful who you engage with, because a lot of people will put their insecurities and their shortcomings onto you like it's supposed to be this. Oh, I can't see you doing this, so you ain't gonna do it. Or a lot of the times, man, people will talk you out of doing something that's beneficial for you in terms of growth because they selfish or whatever it is, right? And that's when you got to look around and you got to kind of realize, like, is this really what I want to do, or is it's just something that I'm doing because what everybody else is doing? Um, that could be staying in a job in a or in a relationship that doesn't benefit you, you know. And when I say benefit you, I don't mean, you know, it's all positive, but at the same time, when I say benefit you, it doesn't bring you peace, it doesn't make you grow, it doesn't make you evolve into a better version of you. Because I had a homeboy of mine, a really cool cat of mine, say because we was talking about work and everything, right? And I said, yeah, man, hey, I got a new job, this and this and that, boom, 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 boom. And the first thing bro asked me, he's like, yo, so is that what you wanted to do? You know, is that what you want to do? And I said, nah, man. He's like, yo, I like working with kids and everything too. So, you know, it's a positive. But I said my main goal is still to become a strength and conditioning coach, and I'm still working towards that goal. And I think at the end of the day, as long as people realize that and they understand that what you go through is, you know, pitfalls are gonna happen. You know, and everything that you go through is gonna be definitely gonna be different. It's gonna be something that's not a it's not gonna be smooth. So, but hey, man, this is about 19 minutes of your life that you won't get back. Hope y'all keeping the 4 P's. Probably play a positive pushing. See y'all next week. Love y'all. And like I always say, know your worth. Ghost.